But let's talk a minute about James Madison. We all know that he was the 4th President of the United States. He's not as well known as the father of the Constitution, which of course is his title. He's the man who kept the notes at the Constitutional Convention, and out of his notes they were able to write the Constitution and find out what it was that really went on. So he's known as the father of the Constitution. In one of those Federalist Papers that we mentioned, James Madison said this about democracy. Democracies have ever been spectacles of turbulence and contention, have ever been found incompatible with personal security or the rights of property, and have in general been as short in their lives as they are violent in their deaths. Isn't that something? There wasn't one man amongst the founding fathers that wanted democracy. And yet most of the American people have been persuaded that we are a democracy and that we've never been anything else but a democracy. Well, I contend that we're becoming a democracy. And you might say, well, where do you see this? Where do we get the majority rule? And one good place to go to find it is the Supreme Court. We're told over and over again that the Supreme Court can decide this and this and this, and of course if it turns out to be 5-4, that's a majority of the 9 judges, then indeed their decision is final. And we're also told that it's the law of the land. You've heard that, I know you have, I certainly have heard it myself. Is a Supreme Court decision the law of the land? Well, let's see if anybody knows any algebra. Now, what's algebra got to do with this? I'll make it plain in a minute here. Article 1, Section 1 of the Constitution, in fact, the very first sentence in the Constitution, right after the preamble, says, all legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States. All right, now, if all legislative powers, lawmaking powers, are vested in the Congress, then how much legislative lawmaking power is vested in the Supreme Court? There's where the algebra comes in. If it's all here, there's none here. And the truth is that there is no lawmaking power in the Supreme Court, and yet we've been told over and over again that a Supreme Court decision is the law of the land. So what's going on here? Well, what's going on is that the Supreme Court has adopted and absorbed legislative functions, and it shouldn't. A Supreme Court decision isn't the law of the land, it's the law of the case.